This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Set to go, another busy weekend ahead. A lot of stories from the last few days in the National Hockey League that we'll touch on and cover. A whole bunch of things going on in the league. We'll get into it all. Enjoy a busy Saturday schedule. There's a few more games coming up on Sunday, afternoon, matinees, both days. It's all good. It's a nice weekend in the middle of January. Loaded up with guests to cover on all the big stories as well. Bryan McNally covers the Washington Capitals for NHL.com. He will be here. He will be here to talk about a remarkable victory for the Washington Capitals that took place on Friday night against the Carolina Hurricanes. Another win for the Calgary Flames. Derek Wills, radio play-by-play voice of the Flames, will be here to discuss it. 6 straight for Calgary now as they are headed for Carolina on Sunday. Brian Burns with the latest on the Tampa Bay Lightning, including the so sad, frustrating story of Victor Hedman, who was having a sensational year, and he's going to be gone for 3 to 6 weeks because of the lower body injury. That's a shame. And Sarah McLellan, we had trouble connecting last week. We're lined up for today. She'll give us the latest on the Minnesota Wild. Wild getting set to host the Winnipeg Jets, the leaders in the Central Division. It's Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern at hockeyunfiltered.com and streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app. It's powered by Primetime Radio. Live on Facebook, Periscope, YouTube Live. And we look for and enjoy your participation via social media at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports are the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us, and where we are looking for your nominations as we do every Saturday for the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. Just send us your nomination, photo of your dog you love. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send it to us with your name, the dog's name. If there's a nice story that goes along with it, we love that as well. We just choose a worthy candidate every Saturday, and they are elected the Dog of the Day. The photo up on our website, up on our Facebook page, and much more. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to nominate your dog. Hashtag is HU Dog of the Day. And I hope you're having a good weekend. There's folks all over the place dealing with weather drama once again. Please be careful. If you're venturing outside, help each other out a little bit. Make sure your family and friends and neighbors are all okay. We're in the midst of this goofy January schedule now for the NHL. I don't want to talk too much about the 5-day break. I'll acknowledge that it's going on and when teams are coming out of it, going into it, but I kind of want to see how it plays out this year. It's a little different. The league is trying to make it work a little smoother. They're trying to match up teams that are coming out of the break to play another team that is coming out of the break. It doesn't always work because there's 31 of them, of course. So it's a bit difficult, but I don't know. I'm just kind of still processing it as it's all occurring. But we got a lot going on with games in the NHL, even though half the teams are idle right now and in the midst of that holiday. Everybody's getting set for the All-Star extravaganza in a couple of weeks in Tampa. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to be there for some of the festivities. The All-Star rosters were announced a couple of days ago. If you were with us last week, well, we had the predictable snub stories that came out afterwards. What a load. We'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. But there were countless stories with the word and phrase snub or snubbed in the title to generate controversy and, most importantly, to generate clicks on that story. We'll talk a little bit about that. So we got half the teams off, the Olympic roster, the All-Star rosters. There's a lot of stuff going on. Some of the things that we have seen over the last week, bunch of highlight reel goals. There were some great ones scored on Friday, and we had a nice trade between the Hawks and the Coyotes, some great saves. We had a new owner confirmed for the Carolina Hurricanes. That is good news. As I mentioned, it's a busy schedule on the weekend with 9 today, a couple of afternoon games. There's it's a morning game in Chicago tomorrow, but there's afternoon hockey. The matchup of Edmonton and Arizona on Friday night doesn't sound like much, because there's been, well, a lot of disappointment with the Edmonton Oilers and Arizona as well. Arizona Coyotes, they've got a bunch of young players. They're still kind of a mess. But as we have seen on so many occasions through 2.5 years of participation in the National Hockey League, Connor McDavid is worth the price of admission, and he is certainly worth turning into on TV if you get the opportunity. Just, if Edmonton's playing, it's must-see TV, and it's worth your while to check it out and investigate it. Because more often than not, you are going to be rewarded for your participation. McDavid had himself a game on Friday. He does things on the ice that are just still head-shaking, mind-boggling, and you just go, wow. At one point, out on the ice on Friday, he is skating circles around the Coyotes. Absolutely skating in and out amongst the Coyotes players on the ice, moves the puck over to Oscar Klefbom, the defenseman, then sent it to the front of the net where winger Patrick Maroon had a tap in. McDavid is technically given a secondary assist on this scoring play, but he should receive the primary assist for all the work that he did to make this goal happen. A remarkable goal. Just beautiful to watch. Exactly what you think of when you think the beauty of the game, the grace and finesse and determination, talent and skill. This is what you want to see. If you watch the highlight of this one again, if you get the chance, go and watch the highlight of this goal again. It's magnificent because if you look at it closely, you can see that McDavid has made his way to the front of the net. And if Patrick Maroon isn't standing there, he's quite likely in position to tap the puck in himself. That's what struck me about it. He's skating behind Patrick Maroon as Maroon stands there and the puck goes off his stick and in the net. He could have scored the goal. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. This one moment of extraordinary skill came in the game when the Oilers looked like they were going to allow one of the few teams in the standings below them to open up a can on them. 2 goals by the Coyotes on their first 3 shots. 2 goals, 3 shots. At that point, Todd McLellan looks down the bench and says, Al Montoya, get your gear. You're going in. And he comes in, takes over for Cam Talbot, whose season of shame continues. Montoya didn't allow another goal. Played really well. Good for him. 2 goals from defenseman Darnell Nurse. Very nice. Good for Edmonton to come back. Down 2 about 3 minutes into the game. Yeah, that's a good comeback. And good for Todd McLellan. He's not allowing his players to quit. By making that call saying, nope, this is unacceptable. Remember last week, Cam Talbot allowed a couple of softies? He was out. This is when Al Montoya was still getting introduced to his new teammates after being traded from the Montreal Canadiens. It was when the Edmonton Oilers were in Dallas. Well, the same thing happened in Arizona. 2 goals, 3 shots, get out of the net. You're not stopping anything anyway. Let's move it along. So the Oilers, here's the real funny part. The Oilers are finishing up their road swing before they go into the mandated holiday. They finish it up Saturday in Vegas and taking on the Golden Knights. Now, I suspect that Cam Talbot is going to get a chance to go back in goal and redeem himself. Vegas is coming off their 5-day break. So not only were they idle on Friday night, but they haven't played all week. So this is going to be a bit of a revved up Vegas team, I suspect. Now, the other interesting part is what's potentially going to happen after this game on Saturday night. Edmonton Oilers, after they play the game against Vegas, they're off for the week. They get the mandated holiday. They get the mandated break. This is after the game against Vegas. Today, Saturday, January 13th, is Connor McDavid's 21st birthday. Happy birthday. How many young people do you think would like to go to Vegas, think it'd be cool to celebrate their 21st birthday? Plenty. How many have the means to really do it up right? I mean, if I don't think anything nefarious is really going to happen. Well, the too nefarious is going to happen. But if I'm the Oilers, I'm thinking that I'm sending chaperones out with everybody after this game. Not that I'm overly concerned about, things getting too far gone, but I just kind of want to make sure that there's no arrest reports being filed the next day. But talk about timing. Connor McDavid, 21st birthday, game in Vegas that night, and then you're off for a week. That's a way to celebrate a 21st birthday. If anybody could line it up the way you want, that would be the way to do it. Boy, that was good. Other game on Friday that had plenty of drama was the Caps and the Carolina Hurricanes. This should have been the finish to an amazing 24 hours or so for the Carolina Hurricanes franchise. It didn't exactly play out the way that they would have liked. Thursday, Canes got a great performance from Scott Darling. They defeated the Washington Capitals in the front end of a home and home. Friday afternoon, Tom Dundon is introduced as the sale officially closes between he and Peter Karmanos. Dundon is now the majority owner of the Carolina Hurricanes. They are playing the second half of the home and home against the Capitals that night. And the Carolina Hurricanes are up 3-2, and it's getting late in the game. And then Brett Connolly scores for the Caps and ties the game with just over 3 minutes left. Caps put on the full press, goalie out. Nick Backstrom makes an unbelievable play, gets the puck over toward the net, and Jay Beagle slams it across the line with 2 seconds remaining in the third. Caps win, Canes get nothing. This is the kind of thing that we have seen too often from the Carolina Hurricanes. This is the gut-wrenching frustration part when you are emotionally involved that gets to you. This is why you can't have nice things, Carolina Hurricanes. You do this too often. In the good news part, though, the new ownership coming into the Carolina Hurricanes, this is all positive. This is a nice step in the right direction. Peter Karmanos has been trying to sell this team, or at least part of it. They finally settled on him selling the majority of it to Thomas Dundon. Recently, the transaction's closed. He's now the majority owner. This is positive news for the Carolina Hurricanes because there's going to be more money and more emphasis on some of the other things, like the in-building fan experience, the game presentation. They're going to get better practice facilities, and these are things that you need to have a successful franchise. They have a devoted fan base of people that come to games and watch the games and want to be part of Carolina Hurricanes hockey, but you still need to grow that product. This is good news. It's not that the Canes franchise has been neglected, but there hasn't been a lot of extra investment in it. I'm not just talking about player salaries, but the practice facility and other things like that. The better fan experience. And you have to invest an awful lot of money in things like that. Thomas Dundon is friends with Jeffrey Vinik, the owner of the Tampa Bay Lightning. There's a good example of an owner who has invested a whack ton of money into the franchise to help build it into a better product. Fingers crossed that the same sort of plan is followed by the Carolina Hurricanes moving forward. A lot of stories to get into today from games last night. We got a busy Saturday ahead. There's only 4 games on Sunday, but we could talk Olympics. We'll talk a little bit of All-Star. We'll talk about the big stories in the league and how the standings are probably going to shuffle a bit over the next week or two as the teams go in and out of the 5-day break. I think I want to start a new segment today, too, called The Dumb Story of the Week, because we have a winner. I think we'll make this a new segment, The Dumb Story of the Week, because this is a beautiful example that we'll get to it later on in the program. Worth hanging around for, because it's shake your head disbelief. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles, where we are accepting your nominations for Dog of the Day right now. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Lots to get to. Brian Burns will talk Tampa Bay Lightning, Sarah McLellan with the latest on the Wild. Derek Wills will talk about the Flames' 6th straight win. And Brian McNally next talking about the Washington Capitals. Back with much more after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
This is the Saturday edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, on the Hockey Unfiltered Network, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, powered by Primetime Radio. A lot to get into with a busy 9-game Saturday. Derek Wills, the radio play-by-play voice of the Calgary Flames, will join us later on this hour. Also coming up, the latest on the Tampa Bay Lightning from Brian Burns, and Sarah McLellan will join us to talk about the Minnesota Wild. Big victory on Friday night for the Washington Capitals. They come back and score a victory in dramatic fashion over the Carolina Hurricanes. Brian McNally covers the Caps for NHL.com. Follow him on Twitter at BMcNally14, and he joins us now. This is about as big a boost as the Caps could get going into their holiday break, with a dramatic come-from-behind victory over the Hurricanes, the way it played out last night, isn't it, Brian?
Yeah, Todd, they scored with 1.2 seconds left. Jay Beagle with the tap-in, basically, on a Nick Backstrom pass. That was a game pretty much looked like the Caps were cooked. They were down 3-2, a couple minutes left. Tied it up on a Brett Connolly goal, and then Beagle scores late, gives them a big boost. They had lost the night before to Carolina at home. It had a 10-game winning streak at home, and Carolina played a pretty good game Thursday night and knocked them off. Would have been kind of tough to go into the break with back-to-back losses to a division rival, a team that's kind of moving up the standings here a little bit. Instead, the Caps are the one that kind of pull it out of the fire, and as you said, they're on a bye week before they play the Devils on the road next Thursday, so they get some time to savor that one as well.
And the Capitals themselves have been climbing steadily up the standings over the last little while. We're just past the halfway point. The Caps have played 45 games, and they find themselves on top of a very competitive Metropolitan Division. Now, at the start of the year, I'm not sure anybody would have said Washington Capitals, yeah, they'll be leading the division midway through the NHL season in the early part of January. There were a lot of questions about the roster because there'd been turnover, and it was kind of we're not sure what we're going to get with the Capitals this year. But this is a team that seems to have moved steadily upward as the season has gone along.
No question. I mean, if you had told me that the Caps would be, in the mix or kind of hanging around, sure, I would have bought that. They returned enough talent, but given what they lost, when you talk about Justin Williams and Marcus Johansson and all these different Carl Alsner, Kevin Shattenkirk, all these different pieces that the Caps lost over the summer, plus there was a hangover effect as well. They talked about it. GM Bryan McLellan, Coach Barry Trotz talked about it for really all summer and into the fall, that there was going to be a hangover effect for the Caps. You have 2 years, 2 regular seasons the way they have the past 2 years, and then it all ends with playoff losses that are all too familiar to the Pittsburgh Penguins, who then go on to win a title 2 years in a row. There has to be a hangover, and the Caps did a pretty good job of shaking that off. You could see it in October. They were, I think, 5-6-1 coming off a Western Canada road trip, and really since then they've been almost unbeatable at home, and very good in close games. I mean, they're not the team they were the last couple of years, but they're good enough. They're good enough, and certainly have found a way somehow to be up 6 in the Metro. In part, some teams have slipped lately, but that's a huge boost for them. It's not just that they're on top, but they go into the bye week with a little bit of a cushion too, and now when they come back, can kind of realistically look at it and say, the last 37 games here, we have a legitimate shot to win a division title. And that, as you said, that's not something anyone really would have thought going into the season.
So let's dive a little deeper into some of the reasons as to why the Caps have been able to do that. They got past the hangover. They also survived some injuries, especially on their defense core early on. Matti Niskanen missed a bunch of time, and there was a shuffling trying to figure out who should be playing on which pair and whereabouts in the lineup. So there had to be some lineup and defense pairing questions that were answered in the first part of the year.
Yeah, certainly on the blue line. I mean, you're talking about losing a guy like Matt Niskanen. They just don't have the depth. One guy I didn't mention that they lost is Nate Schmidt, a guy they were really counting on as kind of a solid second pair guy, a young kid they had brought up for a couple of years, signed as a college free agent. Obviously, Vegas took him in the expansion draft, and that was kind of a crippling blow to Washington because they knew they were going to lose depth on the blue line. They didn't expect they would lose 3 guys instead of just 2. So that hurt, and then Niskanen got hurt early in the year. So it was really John Carlson and a bunch of Brooks Orpik and a lot of young pieces. Christian Jews is one who has played pretty well, a call up from Hershey, a young defenseman, Madison Bowie as well, former first round draft pick that has kind of steadily gotten better as the season's gone on, but early on, those guys were really trying to find their way, and without Niskanen, the Caps struggled, and he was out well into November, but they kept things afloat, and the offense was a big part of that. Certainly, Braden Holtby in goal has had another really good year, so that's kind of allowed them to get through the Niskanen injury, get their young guys some experience, and then their top guys, Alex Ovechkin now has 28 goals. Nick Backstrom, Evgeny Kuznetsov, TJ Oshie, all of these guys are playing at the level, or at least close to the level that the Caps expect, and that's kind of allowed them to withstand some of these free agent losses and give them a shot to stay competitive.
We talk about Nicklas Backstrom and what a tremendous player he is, how he quietly goes about his job, and there was maybe no better example of it than the game-winning goal last night against the Carolina Hurricanes. He manages to get a hold of the puck. He's the one who gets it over to Jay Beagle. As you described it, it was a tap-in after that, but it comes from the work that Nick Backstrom does on a nightly basis for the Washington Capitals.
Yeah, I mean, he's fantastic. He was getting a little criticism early in the year, Todd, for not maybe being as productive as they needed him to be, and certainly, it was a big deal. I think we talked about some of the changes. Barry Trotz going back to the Nick Backstrom, Alex Ovechkin pairing, essentially putting those two back together after a good stretch where generally they were on separate lines, and really since then, Ovechkin was hot in October anyway, but once they went back to that pairing, I think they've found a balance that they've been missing a little bit. And yeah, as you talked about, I mean, last night, just a great play. Ovechkin comes up the wing, loses the puck. It looks like, well, we're going to overtime. Instead, Backstrom fights off a Carolina player for the puck and makes a quick pass, and Jay Beagle's pretty much all alone at the far post. So he's been right there with. He's maybe taking a little more criticism than some of the other top players, especially early in the season. But I think as we've gotten into things, he's found his game, and he's just Mr. Reliable for them. He's never really a question mark. You always know what you're going to get, and that stability is always a huge help for the Caps.
Our guest is Bryan McNally from NHL.com. He covers the Washington Capitals. At @BMcNally14 is how you follow him on Twitter. Caps headed into their 5-day sabbatical after a victory over the Carolina Hurricanes on Friday night. Now, Barry Trotz would not be able to keep Nick Backstrom and Alex Ovechkin together if he wasn't getting enough offense and secondary scoring from other sources as well. Evgeny Kuznetsov has had a terrific year. Kind of wondered about TJ Oshie after signing a big contract. How would he be? But he's chipped in a little bit. Brett Connolly's got 10 goals in the season. He had one last night too.
Yeah, Conley was a big pickup for the Caps last year. Todd, honestly, he was a guy that people looked at and said, well, this is kind of a failed draft pick, and from other organizations you're just bringing in to try out, and he ended up scoring double-digit goals last year, and he's on pace to do even better this year. This is a guy who could come close to scoring 20 goals by the time it's all said and done. He's kind of found a home on the third line there at left wing, and that's important. I mean, this team again, they didn't just lose goals on the blue line. Marcus Johansson was a big part of this team for a long time, and they essentially, for salary cap reasons, had to just give him to the New Jersey Devils for a couple of draft picks, and that was pretty demoralizing. I think anytime you lose a guy in free agency, you think, okay, well, that's kind of the nature of the game. But when you lose a player who's a key part of your lineup, a key part of your top power play, and have to give him away for draft picks to a division rival, that stings, that hurts, and they needed guys to kind of make up for some of those goals. And Brett Connolly, certainly one that's come in this year, been given another good chance to establish himself, and has taken advantage of it. We saw it again last night.
Yeah, and the other player that I've really liked how he's performed this season for the Capitals is Lars Eller. He seems visible as much as anything on most nights, which is what the Caps need from him.
Maybe their most competitive player, Todd. I mean, it just night in, night out in terms of effort, in terms of always competing, battling for pucks. And now the goals are coming as well. I mean, I think last night was number 8, or Thursday night maybe was number 8. I mean, he's right there. He's having a fantastic year as their third line center. He's been good the last couple of years. Certainly, people know him from his time with Montreal, but now it's a contract year too. So he's coming at this with great timing, maybe having the best season of his career. And I called Nick Backstrom Mr. Reliable. Well, his partner in that is Lars Eller. To have a third line center who can play at that level night in, night out gives Barry Trotz a ton of comfort. And they've kind of moved TJ Oshie to really give a little more balance to the lineup. They've moved TJ Oshie down to third line right wing with Eller and Connolly. And that's really been a good group. The last couple of games, you could argue that's been their best line, their most competitive line. It gives a little bit, makes the top lines maybe a little less than ideal with Devontae Smith-Pelly up with Backstrom and Ovechkin, but it gives the Caps some balance maybe they were lacking early in the season, and a huge part of that is Lars Eller.
Bryan McNally covering the Washington Capitals for NHL.com. Follow him on Twitter at @BMcNally14. Good stuff, Bryan. Appreciate it. I hope you get the 5-day break too, and we can talk again soon.
Sounds good, Todd. Thanks.
Thanks. Bryan McNally covering the Washington Capitals, who are riding high into their 5-day break on top of the Metro and have themselves a bit of a buffer between the Columbus Blue Jackets and the rest of the competition too. Interesting that it was 2 years of we're going for it with the Washington Capitals. Maybe it's the third year after the we're going for it approach has subsided that it works out even better for the Washington Capitals. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out going down the stretch. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, we'll talk a little Calgary Flames next with Derek Wills, radio play-by-play voice. A lot to get into today. NHL All-Star teams were announced a couple of days ago. Maybe we'll squeeze in a little All-Star talk before the top of the hour, and the latest on the Tampa Bay Lightning from Bryan Burns, and much more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back with more after the break.
There's special savings for Hockey Unfiltered listeners with our new ticket partner, Seat Giant. And Canadian fans can also purchase in Canadian dollars. Go to SeatGiant.ca, find the tickets you're looking for. Doesn't matter if it's NHL games, concerts, or any other event. You get a special discount with the promo code TODD. That's Todd with 2 Ds. Just enter the code, get the discount, you save. That's simple. Save on your next ticket purchase with Hockey Unfiltered and Seat Giant. The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Search engine optimization is the key to success for your online business. It can be the key to success for any business. 1-844-SEO-LEAD is the number to call to get your business at the top of all searches. An official partner of Google, they have the tools necessary to make your business the one people notice first. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now you can nominate your dog or any dog you love as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day through Instagram. Every Saturday, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis will take your nominations for the Dog of the Day. Use the hashtag #HUDogoftheDay. Send us a photo with the dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate your dog. We choose a winner at the end of the show, and your dog will be recognized in the HU Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Saturday edition here, Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. Busy program with lots to get into. Bryan Burns has the latest on the Tampa Bay Lightning coming up later on. Sarah McLellan will join us. We'll talk about the Minnesota Wild, who have a game today against the Winnipeg Jets, one of 9 on the schedule. Victorious for the 6th consecutive time on Friday, it was the Calgary Flames. They come up with a 4-2 victory over the Florida Panthers. They sweep their way through Florida, and as mentioned, it is 6 straight. Calling the play-by-play for the Calgary Flames on the Flames Radio Network is Derek Wills. Follow him on Twitter at fan960wills. And Derek, this has been all good for the Calgary Flames. Well, so you weren't in the line of fire for Glenn Gullitson's stick swinging, were you? You escaped injury. I didn't hear of any reports, but since then, it's been a sizzling Calgary Flames team.
Yeah, thankfully I was on the other side of the ice surface when Gullitson launched his stick 21 feet into the air and 13 rows deep at Scotiabank Saddledome. So I haven't been picking pieces of that composite stick out of my teeth, thankfully. But, you know, what he did was impactful, Todd, because there are coaches who lose their temper on their team often. Glenn Gullitson's not one of those guys. So when he does it, it gets noticed. And the team's responded extremely well to what their head coach did. And they've won 5 games to start off 2018, won their last game of 2017. And they're not playing their best hockey every night. I thought they played really, really well against the Lightning in a 5-1 win on Thursday. And we're just okay in last night's 4-2 victory over the Panthers. But what they've done in January is something they didn't do a very good job of in December. Find ways to win hockey games. And their first line's been a lot better this month than it was last month, and that certainly helps.
That's what good teams do, is they find ways to win, because you're not going to be an elite level team for 82 games during the regular season, and the Flames have found ways to win. One of the key players I thought last night was goaltender David Rittich, because you wondered, second night of a back-to-back, okay, we got the big victory in Tampa and we're going to our number 2 goaltender. What type of game are we going to get from him and from everybody else? It's a team defense thing. I thought he played extraordinarily well for the Flames.
Yeah, I would agree 100%, Todd. And I'd go back to the start of the season. It looked like the Flames had a pretty good tandem with veteran goaltenders Mike Smith and Eddie Lack, but Lack just was never able to get on track. Lost his confidence, seemed to lose his game, and they ended up sending him down to the American Hockey League and then trading him to the Devils. So I think what allowed them to make those moves was the emergence of David Rittich, who's an undrafted player that they signed as a free agent prior to the start of last season, spent last year in the American Hockey League, put up really good numbers for the Stockton Heat a season ago, and started really strong again this season. They call him up, give him a shot, and he's been fantastic. As a matter of fact, Todd, he has yet to lose a start in regulation time. He's got one regulation loss and one overtime loss on his record right now, but that regulation loss, I think they were down 6-1 in a game against the Oilers, and he came in and the Flames came storming back and got close, but he ended up being the guy to take that loss despite only giving up one goal in that game, as strange as that sounds. But he was fantastic last night, stopping the career-high 41 shots, and they're really high on this guy. And the Flames were looking for a number 2 goaltender this season, and they're going to need one again next season. They don't have another guy under contract, so it looks like Rittich is going to be Mike Smith's backup for the rest of this season, and probably again next season. And then who knows with this guy? I think with goaltenders, because they're so hard to project and you just don't know how good they're going to be when you draft them or sign them, it's important to buy a bunch of lottery tickets, so to speak. The Flames have done that. And they've got a guy in Rittich who looks like an NHL player. And then in their system, they've still got John Gillies, who they're pretty high on, and Tyler Parsons, who they're really high on. And a lot of people in the organization believe he's their goaltender of the future. So Brad Treleving's done a good job stockpiling goaltenders, and this Rittich kid's looking pretty good for him.
I agree with you. When it comes to goaltenders, get a bunch of them and try to give them as much time as you can to find themselves and develop, because some will burst onto the scene and then taper off, and others will do the reverse. But I think that's the right way to go with goaltenders. Try and give them as much time as you can, because some guys will blossom a little bit later than others. Our guest is Derek Wills, radio play-by-play voice of the Calgary Flames, winners of 6 straight. They will wrap up their road trip in Carolina against the Hurricanes with an afternoon contest on Sunday. So let's have the obligatory Johnny Gaudreau question and answer segment, because he was fantastic again last night. I mean, just watching him, he too is one of the great stars in the National Hockey League that you get to tune into on a nightly basis. And if you have the opportunity, do so. He's just a pleasure to watch out on the ice.
Yeah, and I've been lucky enough to call all but one of his NHL games. He played one game at the end of that 2013-2014 season. I didn't call that one, but I've called every one since, and it's just a pleasure to watch this guy play every night. 4 years in the NHL, and 4 times he's been picked to represent the Flames at the NHL All-Star Game, and yeah, he's been fantastic. And when I look at his body of work this season, really it kind of mirrors his 2 line mates, Sean Monahan and Michael Ferland. They were good in the month of October. They were great in the month of November. I think between the 3 of them, they produced 45 points in November, which had to be best in the NHL. I can't imagine another line putting up those types of numbers. But their offense really dropped off during the month of December, Todd. As a matter of fact, in 14 games last month, those 3 guys only combined for 23 points. In 5 games this month, they have 25. I mean, they've taken their game to a whole new level, and they really do complement each other well, Todd. You've got Monahan, who's a good, big 2-way centerman who knows how to find the soft spots and has a deadly shot from the slot area. You've got Ferland, who's a prototypical power forward and looking more and more like a first-line forward, and I'm not sure that with his lack of consistency prior to this season that he was going to be that guy and be the guy to spend a lot of time with Monahan and Gaudreau, but he's been fantastic this season. He's got a career-high 19 goals, and he's also established a new career high for points in the season. And then you've got Johnny Gaudreau, who is one of the elite playmakers in the NHL, and he's scored in back-to-back games. Much like Monahan, he's got 6-game point streak on the go right now. So Gaudreau's been a ton of fun to watch, and the guy just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, and it seems as though he can and has that ability to hold onto a puck until something develops around him. He can make time out on the ice. He will hold the puck, he will skate and move. He's nimble because of his size and his skating ability, but he can wait for things to play out and have patience that other players can't.
Oh, absolutely. And he's had to change his game over the years because the league has adapted to Johnny Gaudreau, and as a result, Gaudreau has had to adapt to the league and how they're defending him. And what he used to do is come in up the left wing boards and cross his opponent's blue line and then kind of curl back and wait for things to open up that way. Well, teams started taking that away from him. So he had to find a new way to go about his business. So what he does quite often now is he's really good at gaining the offensive blue line. He'll kind of zigzag his way in, whether he's out there on the power play or at even strength. And he uses his speed and his ability to read the play and his great vision to find guys on the ice. And for me, he is a lot like Patrick Kane. I would think the biggest difference between Gaudreau and Kane is Kane's got a deadlier shot, but beyond that, I don't see a lot of difference between the way those two guys play the game. And Kane's got 3 Stanley Cups, and Gaudreau's still trying to win his first. So I'm not making a direct comparison there. But as far as skill sets are concerned, very, very close, Gaudreau and Kane, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's exactly the name I was going to use when comparing the style of play, the type of play, and the talent and ability of both of those players. The other thing that seemed to have evolved as the season has moved along for Calgary is the play of defense. And I wonder if part of that was because they had to get used to Mike Smith and the way he plays goals. He's very busy. He's very active. He plays a lot of pucks. And as opposed to the Flames defense previously having to come back behind their goal line on every puck that went into their zone, Mike Smith is handling a lot of that. And that's an adjustment for defensive pairs.
It definitely is, Todd. And he's like a third defenseman out there. And he's more active playing the puck in some games than he is in others. And teams try to avoid allowing him to play the puck by putting it into the right spots. But he's as good as you'll find in the game handling the puck. And boy, some of the passes that he makes just leave us laughing and shaking our heads on the air because you just don't see goaltenders who can handle the puck the way Mike Smith can very often. But he's adjusted to the defense core, and the defense core has adjusted to him. And, going into the season, Todd, the Flames defense had really high expectations, both internally and externally, because they had a good defense core last season. And then Brad Treleving sends a first-round pick and 2 second-round picks to the Islanders to get Travis Hamonic. And I think the biggest problem the Flames had last season was they really didn't have somebody to play with TJ Brody until Treleving made a deal with the Coyotes to bring Michael Stone over, and then Brody was way, way better when he was paired with Stone for the rest of the season. So not only does he bring in Hamonic, he brings Stone back, bumps him down to the third pairing as the number 5 guy, and a lot of people, including myself, looked at the Flames' top 5 in defense and thought, this group's as good as any in the league, right there with the Ducks and the Predators probably, but it didn't look that way in the first, I'd say, 30 games. And the top pairing of Mark Giordano and Dougie Hamilton's been fantastic. The second pairing really did struggle, though. And I think it was just kind of getting to know a new system and getting to know a new partner for Travis Hamonic, but he settled in nicely, and him and TJ Brody are playing really well together. Michael Stone's been good as the number 5 guy in the third pairing, and Brett Kulak has emerged as the Flames' number 6 guy, and he was a healthy scratch in the first 7 games of the season, Todd. Matt Bartkowski was playing in that spot, but Kulak's been by far the better of those 2 guys. And the defense core that we thought they'd have coming into the season is now the one that they do have. That's been a really big strength of this team just past the midway mark of the season.
Yeah, a couple of big goals by Dougie Hamilton during this last stretch too has helped the Flames with that win streak. Another player I want to ask you about quick before we let you go, Mark Jankowski, who didn't start the season with the Flames, but since he has come up, has fit in nicely, and he was a long-term project in terms of when he was drafted and taken time to develop, but he really seems to be finding his way in this lineup now.
Yeah, he's a player who is certainly growing right now and getting better and better. And, he probably should have made the team right out of training camp in the preseason. He had a really strong preseason, but Now, the Flames are at a point as far as their organizational depth is concerned that they can leave guys in the American Hockey League a little bit longer now. They don't have to rush guys to the National Hockey League like they've had to do in the past. So, they send Jankowski down. He gets off to a great start in the AHL with the Stockton Heat, and they call him up, and he looked NHL ready right from the get-go. And early in the season, the Flames really had issues with their bottom six. They were getting absolutely nothing offensively from their third and fourth lines. But then Glenn Gulutzan tried a new combination. He put Stan Bennett on left wing, and Bennett had been playing center for most of the last two seasons, and puts him on a line with Mark Jankowski. And those two guys had chemistry almost instantly. And for a while, they were playing with Jaromir Jagr. And those three guys looked pretty good together, and then Jagr kept getting hurt. So the Flames then called up Garnet Hathaway, another guy who's been cooking down in the AHL. He comes up, and he looks NHL ready. And the Flames' bottom six has been a lot better since Jankowski and Bennett were put together. And now they've got a legitimate third line, a line that can be their second scoring line, a line that's actually been playing some pretty tough defensive minutes as the season has gone on. But yeah, Jankowski was a long-term project, a guy they reached for back in that 2012 draft, and it took him 5 years to get to the NHL, but he's here now, Todd, and I don't think he's going anywhere.
No, I don't think so. Derek Wills, radio play-by-play voice of the Calgary Flames and the Flames Radio Network at Fan960Wills is how you follow him on Twitter. Always appreciate the time, Derek. Enjoy the break when you get to it as well, and we'll talk again soon. Thanks for the tail of the tape with the stick throw on Gulutzan, by the way, too.
Oh, no problem at all. Good talking to you.
Appreciate it. Derek Wills, the play-by-play voice of the Calgary Flames. No, we didn't mention Jaromir Jagr till right to the end, because that story has kind of gone quiet since last week with the exit with the Calgary Flames. It's not one that you take joy in, but it is a reality that his career is going to come to an end. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. Busy program. Hour number one is flying by. We'll squeeze in a few stories up to the top of the hour, maybe a little NHL All-Star talk. Rosters were named this past week. Whatever else we can squeeze in as well, looking at some of the great games from last night, and a busy Saturday schedule as well. 9, including a couple of afternoon contests. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. Back with more after the break.
So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Nova Product Design is designed for manufacturing. Nova Product Design can get the job done with mechanical and industrial design. Nova Product Design is also fully functional for laser cutting, water jet cutting, plating, coatings, and more. Nova Product Design, innovative design, and the latest technologies. Nova Product Design can design, build, and test any required types of prototypes and beta units. Visit NovaProductDesign.com. We're looking for your Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day nominations every Saturday. Now you can send them through Instagram. Use the hashtag #HUDogoftheDay. Send us a photo of your dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate them as the HU Dog of the Day. Include your name, the dog's name, and any other cool details you want. We choose a winner and add them to the Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, Saturday edition continues. It's hour number 1. That is flying by. Man, we get a lot of stuff to get into today. I'm pretty sure we're not going to squeeze everything I've got written down as topics and items of discussion today, but that's good. We get to do it again tomorrow, Sunday, same time, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at hockeyunfiltered.com. Streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, available for free download at the App Store. We're live on Facebook, Periscope, YouTube Live, and it's powered by Primetime Radio. Busy hour number 2 coming up. Brian Burns from the Tampa Bay Lightning will join us to talk about the latest with the Lightning. A little discussion about the Victor Hedman injury. Gee, that's too bad. He was having such a great year, as are so many with the Lightning. We'll get into that in a little bit more. Sarah McLellan also will join us in hour number 2. She covers the Minnesota Wild for the Star Tribune. It's the Minnesota Wild and the Winnipeg Jets in a busy 9-game Saturday schedule. Division matchup in the Central. Minnesota, they could stand to start winning a few games. Winnipeg fell in a close one on Friday to the Chicago Blackhawks. Tight 2-1 game. Jeff Glass played really well. Get the Hawks a victory. Minnesota and Winnipeg. Winnipeg goes into their 5-day mandated CBA break right after this game against Winnipeg. I mentioned Tampa and all that is coming up in Tampa Bay with the NHL All-Star Weekend. The rosters were announced a couple of days ago. And as we discussed last weekend, if you were with us, the predictable fury of who got snubbed stories had to come out. It's this atrocity of being left off the NHL All-Star roster. Stories come out. The top 5 players that were snubbed. Who got snubbed from this year's All-Star list? It is a word that is used to grab you and get your attention in the headline so that you hopefully click on the story, because that's what they're looking for. Manufactured controversy, trademark pending. That's why that story is used. It's provocative, it's attention grabbing, it's giving you the impression that a player was slighted and there was malice, which is not true. But that is what the definition of snubbed is, and that's why how the word is misused. Everybody knows the deal with the All-Star Weekend. Every team is represented in the rosters. You know that going in. This year, 44 slots to be filled. 11 players, 4 divisions. Snub is a provocative word. Some players are going to be left out. It doesn't mean that they were deliberately slighted or ridiculed or humiliated, which is a necessary element for the snub to take place. It's inaccurate. That's not the definition of snubbed. We got this many places. These are the rules that we have to fill them. Let's see, 31 teams, 44 players. You know what? There's probably going to be some guys left out that you'd think, oh, wouldn't it be great if he were at the All-Star game? Yeah, it would. And then you add him, and then you add another, and then you add another, and pretty soon you got 100 players. You'll have to cut it off at some point. It's not a snub. Makes me crazy to read that. But on the other hand, if you want to see great hockey players, talented, skilled hockey players, 44 of them will be participating in Tampa Bay in a couple of weeks. There's the skills competition. There's the 3-on-3 tournament. It's all coming up in a couple of weeks in Tampa Bay. The event is a giant schmooze. I mean, it's the fun on ice and on TV stuff with the skills competition and the 3-on-3 games. But there is so much other stuff that is going on around the All-Star game. There's all kinds of fan displays and exhibits and interactive stuff and all kinds of things that you can do. There's another festival going on in Tampa at the same time as well, in the same vicinity, the Gasparilla Fest. It's going to be busy, we'll say. There's going to be a lot of people there. There's going to be a lot of good times had that weekend. And if you want to see 44 really talented, really good hockey players, they'll all be there. There will be a significant number of great NHL players. All kinds of other events take place as well. There's parties and events. that fans don't even know are existing, because that's the business part of it. That's the sponsor part of it. That's the partners of the National Hockey League. That's the giant schmooze that is taking place. And it means millions of dollars in revenue for the league, and the players get a big chunk of that too. Lots of great events with public participation for fans, autographs. Players are casual, relaxed. They get to bring their families. And you know, Tampa's not a bad place to go for this. If you're going, if you want to go, enjoy it. Absolutely. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go. I'm going to enjoy it. So yes, we'll be there. We're looking forward to it. Players have fun with it. Families come. It's not a super taxing weekend in terms of your time and stuff. It's a fun event. Great players, fun stuff. Yeah, all the skills competition. I'm waiting to see how that all rolls out. Would I like to see the breakaway challenge? Yes. But if you want to have an opportunity, whether it's on the red carpet or in a casual encounter, to get a player's autograph or get a selfie, this is a place to do it. 44 great players are going to be there. Nobody got snubbed. It is a misnomer. It is a false story. But it doesn't get to the point of being the dumbest story of the week. Because I was reading this the other day, and I'll save this after the top of the hour into hour number 2, because I'll give you the full story and the full breakdown on why it's a dumb story. But I'm reading it, and I'm just kind of shaking my head and realizing that this too is all about attention, trying to stir it up, make noise, and importantly, get those clicks, because that's what's driving it. We'll get into that and much more after the top of the hour, but just ridiculous. But for the All-Star weekend, good times. If you haven't been and you're planning on going for the first time, it's a great weekend. You'll have fun. It is a party atmosphere. Everybody's having a good time. You get people from all over the U.S. and Canada who travel and go and make a weekend of it. They accept it and go in the spirit in which it's intended. All kinds of business partners and sponsors of the league will be there, having a good time, getting taken care of and looked after. That's what it's all about. And that benefits the players as well, and that's why they show up. In hour number 2 of the program, Sarah McLellan will join us. We'll talk about the Minnesota Wild and the Winnipeg Jets coming up on Saturday, one of 9 on the Saturday schedule. Bryan Burns covers the Tampa Bay Lightning for TampaBayLightning.com. He will join us in hour number 2 as well. Tampa Bay Lightning have a few days off. They're getting set to enjoy a little time. And they'll do a little time without Victor Hedman, and that is the difficult part. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Still looking for your nominations for the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send them via Twitter. Send them through Instagram using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We select a winner every Saturday. We nominate and award a winner. The photo will go up on our website. Photo goes up on our Facebook page. We just do it every Saturday because we're a dog-friendly show and we like dogs. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, hour number 2 after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Look, we know it happens. Life gets in the way and sometimes you can't catch the live edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. But we've made it easy for you to catch up on the show you might have missed. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis is available as a podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Blog Talk Radio. You don't want to miss an episode. If you missed the live show, check out the podcast. Don't miss any shows. There's a test coming up later. Subscribe now. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Use the code Get the Savings. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis listeners save with SeatGiant and the promo code TODD. That's TODD at SeatGiant.com. Just log on to SeatGiant.com to find the best tickets to NHL games, concerts, or whatever you want and save. Use the promo code TODD. That's TODD when you check out and you save. Canadian listeners can save at SeatGiant.ca. That's SeatGiant.com and .ca. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more.
This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Hour number 2 is set to go. Busy one straight ahead. A lot to get into. There were only 5 games on Friday, but there's a bunch of good stories around them and that have taken place over the last few days. We're looking ahead to Saturday with 9 games on the schedule, a couple afternoon contests, good late games as well. It's January, there's nothing going on. Settle in, enjoy it, all-day hockey. Why not? It'll be fun. Brian Burns will join us later on this hour, give us the latest on the Tampa Bay Lightning, who continue to ride high. They will be riding without their number 1 defenseman, Victor Hedman, for the next 3 to 6 weeks. We'll get the latest on Victor Hedman, what the Bolts plan to do without him, and a few other notes about the Tampa Bay Lightning with Bryan coming up this hour. Also later on this hour, Winnipeg Jets are in Minnesota to take on the Wild. Sarah McLellan covers the Minnesota Wild for the Star Tribune. She will join us as well. It is a busy hour number 2, 9 games to go on Saturday at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. That is where we are looking for your nomination for the HU Dog of the Day. That's the hashtag to use, HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo of your dog, your name, dog's name. There's a little story that goes along with how you two came together. That's a nice ad to put in. We choose a winner every Saturday. The photo will go up on our Facebook page, up on our website, in the ever-expanding gallery of photos for the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. We just look for your nominations. We like dogs, and we like to recognize special dogs. That's why we do it. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at hockeyunfiltered.com. Streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, powered by Primetime Radio. Mentioned the 5 on Friday was a busy one. Vancouver gets a victory. They snapped their losing skid. Good for them. Columbus goes into their 5-day sabbatical on a losing note. A little worried about Columbus. I know they got some injuries and stuff. I'm a little worried about Columbus. The winning streak continues for the Calgary Flames. 4-2, they're victorious over the Florida Panthers. 6 straight for Calgary. They go for 7 on Sunday. Caps with a dramatic late victory against the Carolina Hurricanes. They wind up splitting the home and home. 4-3 is the final. Chicago, a tight one against Winnipeg, as I mentioned, are in Minnesota on Saturday. 2-1, Chicago gets the victory. And the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid, working his magic again, worth the price of admission. 4-2 the final. Edmonton goes down 2-0 to Arizona early. Cam Talbot, thanks for coming. Take a seat. Al Montoya's going in. Connor McDavid working it for the Edmonton Oilers. He is so much fun to watch. And the Edmonton Oilers finish up their road trip Saturday night in Vegas. Then they're off for a week. It just happens to be Connor McDavid's 21st birthday. Is that a great coincidence or what? 21 years old, I'm in Vegas, celebrating a birthday. That's pretty good timing. That is pretty good timing. I doubt that the NHL schedule maker did it that way on purpose. Pretty sure it's just a nice coincidence. Interested to see what happens in that Vegas game tonight with the Edmonton Oilers. Does Cam Talbot get another chance? Got to think so. I mean, he played a total of 3 minutes on Friday, so you got to figure he's going to go back. Vegas has just finished their winter holiday, so they get to come back rested and ready to go. They didn't play on Friday, and they've been off all week. I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see what happens in that one. I promised this in the last hour, so I want to get to it while we have time and before we run short, because there's a lot of things that we're going to try and cover in the next hour. But I mentioned the suggestion that maybe we have to come up with a new feature or a new segment, and I want to call it the dumbest story of the week. So here's the first example. I was doing as I usually do all week, and I try to follow all the stories that are going along and keep up what's going on a day-to-day basis, spend the evenings watching hockey and all the rest of it. And I stumble on this story where I have found good stories before, but then I also find this one that I have trouble with. I kind of don't want to promote it and talk about it, and I certainly don't want to, drive people to it, because it only encourages this kind of nonsense. But the name of the story, or the piece, is headlined, "The Case for Trading Austin Matthews." No, I'm serious. That's the headline of this story. "The Case for Trading Austin Matthews." This is my nomination for the new feature, Dumbest Story of the Week. One of the most prolific young players to enter the league over the last couple of years. He also just happens to play for one of the most storied franchises in the National Hockey League, and the author suggests a trade be considered. Do you think that's maybe a bit of an attention seeker? Do you think that maybe they're taunting you to click on that? This kind of story, it immediately draws attention for this outrageous and wild suggestion. One of the most devoted, delusional, passionate, and emotional fan bases ever will be compelled to see it and then go crazy after the suggestion is even made. Twitter timelines will be filled with comment. That, of course, will spur members of the hysterical mainstream media to pick up the topic, and it becomes a talk radio discussion. Sports networks in Canada will undoubtedly have their stable of insiders comment on this hypothesis, and it becomes a story on their evening news programs. Oh, yes, all this drama occurs from a stupid, made-up, designated hypothetical to generate traffic. The really hypocritical part, how often we see and hear from this same outlet complaining about the coverage of others. They have no idea what they're doing. They should be covering the game differently. Isn't it a travesty we can't get smart, informed hockey coverage? Yes, it is. So the title of the story, the headline, is "The Case for Trading Austin Matthews." So I will take the author's suggestion and use his own words to dispel why this is the dumbest story of the week. The arguments: 4. It frees up cap space when Matthews' entry-level contract expires after next season. The Maple Leafs need a top-level defenseman more than they need scoring, because they have that, and it could net an Eric Lindros-type return. Okay, so Austin Matthews is a franchise player. I think that's pretty safe. I don't think that's a big leap for anyone to make. Is there another sport, is there another time where it's suggested that franchise players be traded the way hockey players are? I don't think so. I didn't hear anybody when LeBron first came into the league with Cleveland that, he should be traded after a couple of years because the return they get is fantastic. I'm pretty sure that after Aaron Judge's season last year with the New York Yankees, I'm pretty sure I haven't heard anybody saying, the Yankees should really trade Aaron Judge. I think they could really net a big return for that. When NFL teams get a franchise quarterback, there isn't the suggestion that they trade him unless they happen to have 2. So yeah, you're right. Austin Matthews is going to make a crap ton of money next year with his new contract. But does that mean you should get rid of him because you'll have scoring from other sources and won't have to pay him that big salary? The example used in the piece was the Edmonton Oilers, who signed Connor McDavid to that enormous deal last summer and then traded away other players. Well, you're right. They didn't have to trade away Jordan Eberle. They didn't have to buy out Benoit Pouliot. They didn't have to trade Taylor Hall. Those were choices that were made. They also made the choice to sign Zach Kassian for 3 years. If ever there was a player that should have been traded, how about Patrick Maroon, who came off a career year and was headed into UFA status? Making bad player decisions is what the Oilers did. That was the problem, not signing their superstar franchise player to a big contract. So you need more defensemen. The example used in this story, one of the Arizona Coyotes, who, despite every time it's asked and inquired about, they might be willing to part with defenseman Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Maybe as well a number 1 pick, maybe a prospect as well. Look at the bounty we would generate if we traded Auston Matthews to his home state where they could market him. Well, the Oats have said OEL is not for sale. He's not, period. We like him. He wants to stay here. We want to keep him. And that's the line, of course, you're going to get. He also only has 1 year left on his contract. You think maybe when Oliver Ekman-Larsson re-signs, he's not going to get a big raise? You're going to have to pay him a lot of money. And you're going to have a number 1 pick that's probably coming from the top, maybe a lottery pick that you're going to have to pay eventually. And another prospect that you're going to have to pay eventually. Are you really that much farther ahead? Yeah, you got a defenseman, but you also have to pay him. And for the third point in the dumbest story of the week, that if the suggestion were followed that it might net an Eric Lindros type windfall if Auston Matthews were traded. Well, the Eric Lindros case happened 25 years ago. This goes back to before there was the clearing process of trades in the National Hockey League, where the trade is submitted, it is examined by league officials, and ruled on. That's how far back in history this goes. This is before the information age of player stats and contracts that everybody knows. This is also well before the salary cap era. The suggested bidding war that might get teams to blow their brains out is not going to happen. Would every team love to have Auston Matthews? Sure. How many general managers are going to be ready to empty their cache of players and picks and prospects to get him? We have seen time and time again, one great player does not make your team. See Edmonton Oilers, for example. Yes, if you want to point to a more recent example, look at what the Colorado Avalanche did. They held out. They got a great return for Matt Duchene. Yes, that was also 2 trades, actually. Duchene goes to Ottawa for Turris et al., and then Turris is flipped to the Nashville Predators for Samuel Girard and company. Different set of circumstances. And here's the key part that really solidifies this as the dumbest story of the week. This is the key point. There is one line in this story that is over 2,000 words in length. Here's the quote. A lot of assumptions were made in this argument, some of which may prove to be invalid. No kidding. It is an asinine suggestion. It is an attention grab, attention-seeking ploy. For those ridiculous suggestions based on assumptions and analytic numbers that are less than ideal, the fact this thing even got far enough down the road to make it out into the world makes this the winner as the dumbest story of the week. It might wind up being the dumbest story of the year, but I will reserve judgment on that because we're still a number of weeks away from the NHL trade deadline, and it's remarkable what kind of nonsense gets churned out as we get closer and closer to the NHL trade deadline day. But that's the winner for me right now. The case for trading Auston Matthews. It is non-existent and manufactured. at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. If you'd like to weigh in, we're also looking for your nominations for the HU Dog of the Day, as we do every Saturday. That's the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo. Tell us your dog's name. Tell us your name, how you two met. We like to recognize special dogs. That's what we do every Saturday. Coming up on the program, Sarah McLellan will join us. We'll talk about the Minnesota Wild and tee up their match against the Winnipeg Jets. Bryan Burns in the next segment talking Tampa Bay Lightning. A break, but also significant time without Victor Hedman. We'll get into that next. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Being on the World Wide Web is great. Being found is the tricky part. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization is the only way your business can get a leg up on the competition. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. For the necessary tools to make your business stand out in a crowded marketplace, 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Saturday edition. Here Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at hockeyunfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, available for download at the App Store. It's powered by Primetime Radio. Before the top of the hour, Sarah McLellan will join us. We'll talk a little Minnesota Wild, get you set for their contest on Saturday against the Winnipeg Jets, one of 9 on the schedule. A team that is taking a few days off, putting their feet up, the Tampa Bay Lightning, in the midst of their holiday break. This follows a loss to the Calgary Flames on Thursday, 5-1 the final. The bigger loss, however, may be their defenseman Victor Hedman for 3 to 6 weeks. Bryan Burns covers the Lightning for TampaBayLightning.com. Follow him on Twitter at BBurnsNHL. Bryan, has the whimpering and sobbing stopped or subsided a little bit, at least, from Tampa Bay Lightning fans?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it stopped once they heard the announcement of 3 to 6 weeks out. Because when you saw that injury, I think the same thing probably went through every Tampa Bay Lightning fan's head, was that could have been a season ender right there. And if you're talking about guys that are valuable to the Tampa Bay Lightning, Victor Hedman's probably one of the top 2 right there, along with Andrei Vasilevsky, as guys that they absolutely cannot lose if they have any hopes of winning a Stanley Cup this year. So for him only to be out 3 to 6 weeks, on the long end, 6 weeks, that puts him back right around February 23rd, which is the 62nd game of the regular season. So plenty of time for him to get back into action, to get his legs back underneath of him and help the Lightning during that final stretch run of the regular season, and then a potential playoff run. So I think kind of a sigh of relief down here in Tampa, just as far as It could have been a lot worse than it was, and they also get the bye week that they're on right now. So one of those 3 to 6 weeks will be a week that they weren't even playing anyway. The big downfall is that Hedman won't get to play in the All-Star game in Tampa. I know a lot of Tampa fans wanted to see, him out there with Stamkos and Kucherov and Vasilevsky all at the same time, with John Cooper coaching that Atlantic Division team. But this gives him a chance to heal up and get ready for the stretch run of the regular season.
Yeah, it's that is a shame that he's not going to be able to participate in the All-Star weekend. And you're right, that is in terms of what it could be, it's not bad that if he's back at the end of February, we've got the Tampa Bay Lightning have a few weeks now to sort of see what the rest of their roster can give them. It's not just in terms of the point production either for Victor Hedman. It's the minutes that he logs out on the ice. And the phrase that I hear so often about good defensemen like Victor Hedman is the way they control the game. And that's certainly Victor Hedman and what he does for the Lightning.
Yeah, he munches a lot of minutes for the Lightning. He's sixth in the NHL for time on ice. He logs a lot of penalty kill time. Obviously, he's at the top of that power play for them, that high-powered first unit power play. He kind of quarterbacks that unit, and he's been leading the league. If you look at the plus-minus around the NHL, he's plus 22 since December 1st, and now he's at plus 24 for the season. So he leads the NHL for plus-minus right now. So it's going to be a big loss, no doubt, for the Tampa Bay Lightning. But it gives them a chance to look at some guys that have been sitting on the bench. A guy like Slater Cuckoo, this is a perfect opportunity for him. He's been a healthy scratch for about half of the games for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's going to play a more prominent role now. He's probably going to be given a starting spot, and he's got some games to try to prove that he deserves a spot, or at least to be considered for one of those top 6 defenseman roles in Tampa Bay. He hasn't been so far. He's kind of been in and out of the lineup. This is a great opportunity for him to show that he can be a top 6 regular guy for the Lightning. It'll be interesting to see if he can take advantage of that opportunity.
And I suspect the other part of the equation is there will be more asked of the other 5 defensemen that were regularly in the Lightning. I'm not sure how much more. Maybe we'll see a little more Sergachev on the power play, on the number 1 power play, as opposed to the second.
Yeah, and we already saw that in that Calgary game. Once Hedman went out, Sergachev went to the top of that first power play unit. So you definitely expect to see him get more power play time and probably a little bit more time on ice as well. I think they'll lean, more on the veteran guys, the Anton Strawmans, the Dan Girardis, and it looks like Girardi will probably be back once the team comes off of this break when they host Vegas on Thursday, and guys like Braden Coburn as well. I think some of those more experienced veteran guys, particularly Coburn and Girardi, they're averaging about 15, 16 minutes of ice time. Maybe that gets up to about 19, 20 minutes with Hedman out.
Bryan Burns is our guest, covers the Tampa Bay Lightning. At @BBurnsNHL is how you follow him on Twitter. Lightning have a few days off. The Lightning will be without Victor Hedman, as he mentioned, for 3 to 6 weeks. It has all gone right pretty much for the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first half plus of this season. Steven Stamkos back, healthy, producing. Nikita Kucherov and he have been magic together, as you mentioned. But it's the depth of scoring that we've seen throughout the lineup. There might be a lull for a game or two, but they've been getting scoring up and down the lineup, not just from those top pairs.
Absolutely. You look at a guy like Braden Point. He's tied for second on the team for goals right now. He's third on the team for scoring. You can make an argument that he might be the most valuable forward for the Lightning this season just because of the way he plays that two-way game. He's been so valuable defensively. His puck possession is incredible. He's a guy that John Cooper likes to put out against the other team's top offensive threats in that line with him and Andre Palat and Tyler Johnson. Have done a really good job of being a defensive shutdown forward group, but as well as a group that can go out and score and get points for you. And more depth, you look at Tyler Johnson. It's a guy that in the middle of November, we were talking about what's wrong with Tyler Johnson. He's gone 15 games without scoring a goal. It was his longest goal drought of his career. And since really it's been since November 25th, right after Thanksgiving, he's been on a tear. And if you look at since December 1st, I think he leads the NHL for goals. He had a hat trick the other night. He's been scoring regularly. He's been pretty much putting up a point every game since November 25th. And he's a guy that has really stepped up for the Lightning and provided even more offensive depth for a team that, right now is leading the league for goals, leading the league for goals per game. So scoring hasn't been a problem for them, but they're getting contributions up and down the lineup.
And it seems the way the Tampa Bay Lightning have brought players along too. They will bring them up, they'll play a game or two, they'll be in and out of the lineup a little bit, and then they find their way into a regular full-time role. That's happened on a number of occasions, and it's benefited Yanni Gourde this year. I mean, who predicted, much as we did with the start of the year with a few other things, but Yanni Gourde, I don't think anyone predicted to have 14 goals at this point of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a guy that last year came up when there were some injuries that the Lightning were dealing with, and he was thrust into a starting role, and he really took advantage of it. Was one of the best players for the Lightning down the stretch of the season last year, and he was rewarded with a new contract coming into this season. And a lot of people looked at him and thought, where is he going to fit in during training camp? It looked like it was going to be tough for him to maybe break into a top 9 role on this team, and didn't necessarily know that he would fit in on that fourth line with the Paquettes and the Chris Kunitzes and the Ryan Callahan. He's not a banger like those guys are, not a physical forward like those guys are, although he can play physically. But, the thought was, where exactly does Yanni Gourde slot in? And he had a great training camp, bursted into that top 9 and was on that second line with Palat and Point there for quite a while. And he's really been just kind of an underrated player for this Lightning team. Provides a lot of energy. He's been absolutely outstanding on the penalty kill for them. Just a guy that chases down pucks, has a ton of energy, and he's been able to score and contribute in ways as well. So that's why I kind of think that with the injury to Hedman, it kind of opens the door for a Slater Cuckoo, just like we saw last year with Yanni Gourde. It's going to give Slater Cuckoo more ice time, and this is his opportunity to show that he deserves a regular role in the starting lineup, just like Yanni Gourde was able to do last season.
Yeah, I like Slater Cuckoo on defense. I also like Jake Dotchin on defense. There's some good young talented players on the Lightning defensive core. Hey Bryan, before we let you go, I got to ask you about some of the plans coming up for All-Star Weekend. The rosters were announced a couple of days ago. There will be a replacement name for Victor Hedman, obviously, but this is something that some try to ridicule and say who got snubbed for the All-Star roster. I think that's a ridiculous argument. There's going to be 44 great players in Tampa, and it's going to be a full weekend of activity and fun surrounding the skills competition and the 3-on-3 Sunday as well. Yeah,
and it's going to be a great merging of two great events. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Gasparilla Festival that we have down here in Tampa every year, but that's also going to be the same weekend as the All-Star Game, and it's just a huge parade, kind of a bit like a Mardi Gras type of atmosphere or a Carnival type of atmosphere. There's going to be, it usually brings 300,000-400,000 people to Tampa Bay for that day. So to see how the NHL is able to merge the All-Star Game with this Gasparilla Parade, which is kind of a pirate themed parade where they have a flotilla that comes in the morning, and they take the key from the city. And I guess the whole point of the day is kind of a day for the pirates to pillage the city. So it's a big pirate themed parade. And I would be interested to see if some of the players are on the floats for that parade and just how well that, they merge these two great events, the All-Star Game with Gasparilla.
I understand that there might be alcohol involved in some of these celebrations as well. Would I be correct there?
There is a little bit. I think the rules are relaxed just a little bit that day. So it should be a good day for all, and everybody will definitely be happy.
And a few 100,000 of your closest friends. B. Burns, NHL is how you follow him on Twitter. At Bryan Burns, covering the Bolts for the Tampa Bay Lightning.com. Bryan, thanks for the time. Really appreciate it. And we'll see if we can campaign to get Mikhail Sergachev into the All-Star lineup.
Absolutely. Sounds good, Todd. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks. Bryan Burns covering the Tampa Bay Lightning. That would be kind of cool to have a team with all 4 players out on the ice and the 3-on-3. If you had Stamkos and Kucherov, and if they decided to shove Mikhail Sergachev in there to fill in for Victor Hedman, who's not going to be able to play because of injury, you got Andrei Vasilevsky as a goaltender. That's a nice lineup. I don't know if it's going to happen. I personally think that Charlie McAvoy is going to get the call myself. I think he'd be a great choice because he's having a sensational year. He's going to be a star in the league for many years to come. It'll probably be Charlie McAvoy, but it would be kind of cool to see that that one line of Tampa Bay Lightning. The hometown fans certainly would have enjoyed it. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us and submit your nomination for the Dog of the Day. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo, your name, dog's name, nice story of how you two met. We like to recognize special dogs. The photo up on our website and Facebook page every Saturday. Sarah McLellan will join us next. We'll talk the Winnipeg Jets and the contest against the Minnesota Wild. That and much more to take you up to the top of the hour. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. Back after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Saturday edition. Here Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at hockeyunfiltered.com. Streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app. It's powered by Primetime Radio. Let's try and squeeze in as much as we can up to the top of the hour. Afternoon action in the National Hockey League. A slate of 9 NHL games that include the Minnesota Wild hosting the Winnipeg Jets. Jets lost to the Chicago Blackhawks on Friday 2-1. Minnesota victorious over the Hawks by that same 2-1 score. These two teams meet in Minneapolis. Sarah McLellan covers the Wild for the Star Tribune. You can follow her on Twitter at Sarah_McLellan. She joins us now. Good opportunity for the Minnesota Wild, Sarah. The Winnipeg Jets played last night. Minnesota should be ready to go and hopefully pick up a victory against a division rival.
Yeah, the team's really struggled this season against the Jets, dropping, the first three meetings. And it's a surprise because they had a lot of success against them last year. But I think this is a really key weekend for the Wild. Obviously, the team hosts the Jets tonight. They host the Canucks tomorrow, and then they go on that bye week. So, I'm sure it's probably tough to sit there and watch other teams bank points and move up in the standings from your idols. So this is a really key opportunity. We've seen how tight the Central Division is been so far this season. I don't think it's going to stop or slow down or, get less tangled. So when you can pick up these points and make sure a division rival doesn't, I think there's just a little extra importance around those types of matchups.
Yeah, because the Minnesota Wild are chasing the Hawks and the Dallas Stars, who are both ahead of them in the wild card standings as we begin play on Saturday morning. But they're also feeling a bit of heat from the Colorado Avalanche from behind, who are only a few points behind. That certainly speaks to the competition in that Central Division.
Yeah, I mean, that was the team last season that, I mean, pretty much was a footnote for most of the year in the standings. And now, they went in their bye week, already, I think, around the amount of points that the Avalanche had last season. So there really is no weak link in this division, and it'll make for an interesting race. I mean, that's the thing. If whoever is able to advance through this division and maybe snag a wild card berth, I mean, it'll be earned, because I'm not sure if there's a more competitive division right now in hockey with how tight the race is. But just, looking closer at the games and how tight and competitive these games are. Like you said, a 1-goal game last night in Chicago between the Blackhawks and the Jets, a 1-goal game earlier in the week that the Wild won in Chicago for the Blackhawks. That's just how it's going. And so I think it's just going to make the rest of the season really interesting to watch. That's for sure.
Sarah McLellan talking Minnesota Wild. She covers the Wild for the Star Tribune. At Sarah_McLellan is how you follow her on Twitter. Wild hosting the Winnipeg Jets in a Saturday evening contest. So the Minnesota Wild have battled so many different injuries this season. Where are they now in terms of the health of what they expected to be their starting lineup at the start of the year?
Yeah, well, recently they had everyone available for the first time this season, and that lasted, I think, about 2 games before Nino Niederreiter suffered a lower body injury and was back on the shelf, and he's out for probably at least the bye week and kind of reassess when the team reconvenes next week. But it's been tough. I think it's been a big bout of adversity that the team has had to weather, and to be as competitive as it is still, in the thick of this race, I mean, that is a testament to the performance of the players who have been able to stay on the ice and the depth that the team has been able to tap into. But it has made it, I think, challenging, though, to get a real read on what this group's potential is, because it just hasn't been at full strength for a consistent amount of time. And so, you wonder if that will ever happen, and getting at full health will be the catalyst that this team needs to find some consistency. It's been a very up and down first half and start to the second half. So is health the key? I mean, we'll see. Certainly that helps to have everyone available, but I don't think there's any excuses to in this league. Everyone battles injuries. Everyone has to, field a lineup that isn't at full strength and maximum capacity. But it's definitely been, a big dose of adversity that the Wild has had to try to persevere through this season.
One of those players that missed a whole bunch of time, of course, is Zach Parise, who's just been back for 5 games so far. I think if Zach Parise can get, I know this sounds like maybe I'm putting a lot of pressure on him, but that's okay. If he can score either Saturday against Winnipeg or in the contest against Vancouver, I think that will help him going into the bye week. I think that'll also give the team a boost that, okay, Zach Parise's back. He missed a whole bunch of time, but now he's back with us as well.
Yeah, I think that's probably a lift that the team could use, and certainly Zach as well. It's been a handful of games now. I'm sure it's a difficult transition. You don't have a training camp. You're making your debut so deep into the schedule. There has to be a feeling out process, and I think that's probably what he's still experiencing, just getting the timing down, the competitiveness, going into battles in the corners. I'm sure it's all part of this transition, but, eventually if he can get up to speed and find that groove, not only could the team, use that offensive help and that type of spark, but, you're right. I think it probably makes everyone more encouraged about the prospects of this team and the potential to have another key top 6 forward kind of back in the groove, able to contribute. So, this back-to-back, aside from the significance that it has in the standings and trying to pick up 4 points before going idle for a week, it could be, like you said, a really good opportunity for Zach to find something, some type of tangible reward for this return and feel good about his game coming back.
Yeah, a confidence thing that we hear so often, that a player is struggling, the shots are going wide, the shots are going off a post, or they're just not finding their way into the net. Mikko Koivu went through that earlier in the season, who had that horrible slump that he couldn't seem to get out of. And that's been perhaps the biggest thing for Minnesota, is not being able to get enough offense from enough different places.
Yeah, and that's kind of surprising because of how potent this group was last season, scoring the second most goals in the league. I mean, mind you, a lot of players had career years and just, offensive outbursts that, are definitely tough to duplicate. We're seeing it's tough to come back in this league and be a perennial scorer and, not be shut down on a night-to-night basis. But, that the potential's there. That's the other thing. The track record is there, that this is a group that can put the puck in the net. It can have offensive leaders who can provide a consistent lift. And now the challenge is to trying to, rediscover that, kind of untap that. And it just has been very up and down, very inconsistent. I think that's the best way to describe the season so far for this team. But, getting on a roll, stringing 4, 5, 6 games together, though, could really change the complexion. And maybe that's all a team needs.
Sarah McLellan covering the Minnesota Wild for the Star Tribune, at Sarah_McLellan to follow her on Twitter. Wild and Winnipeg Jets on Saturday. One of those that has been scoring, in fact, he is the leading scorer for the Minnesota Wild, is Eric Staal, now with 19 goals on the season. When he left Carolina, went to the Rangers briefly, I didn't think that he had any chance of success after he'd signed with the Minnesota Wild. I didn't think that it was a good idea. Apparently, he changed a little bit in the off season prior to his first year with the Wild. I don't know if you're aware if he did the same thing in this past summer, but he has been he's been a blessing for the Minnesota Wild since coming aboard.
Yeah, it certainly seems like it's just suited him coming to this team and the role that they've straddled him with. And, it totally looks like kind of a career revival here in Minnesota for Eric. But, I think he's been the same player. I think this is just a situation where it's, the opportunity is there. They need someone to play top center minutes for this team. And I think that he's proven the ability to be able to play with anyone. He seems to compliment anyone who comes on his line. And that's something that doesn't happen overnight. I think that's just a testament to the type of player he's been in this league for 1,000+ games. And he really was, I think, the most deserving candidate for the Wild to go to the All-Star game and represent them for the season that he's had. And it's not over yet. This is a team that's going to find its way to continue to hang around this race and maybe, gain some headway and get some cushion. I think he's going to be a big reason why. And he just seems to create every time he's on the ice and have an opportunity to make something happen. And for a team that is looking for some offensive consistency, I think he's been the best poster boy for what it takes to try to have an impact on a night in, night out basis.
Is the other part of that perhaps too that Coach Bruce Boudreau has the confidence in him, and also the system that he employs as part of the Minnesota Wild structure suits Eric's style better than what he had in his previous few seasons?
Yeah, I think it has suited him, and I think the players that he's been able to play with, like I said, it's hard to find someone who doesn't mesh well with him, but I think he's very easy to read off of it. I think what you see is what you get when he's on the ice, and I think it's just been explained to him, this is what we need, and the Wild hasn't wavered from that in what they expected of him when they brought him in, and I think it's just been, kind of a seamless marriage from that regard for both sides. And for Eric, I'm sure the confidence, every time he gets on the ice is at a high because, he hasn't changed as the player, that he was when he was scoring, 30, 40 goals previously in his career. Obviously, his age has gone up and, that's natural. But I think the confidence was always there. And it was just, untapping that opportunity to be, a heart of a lineup and someone who's counted on to be a catalyst every game.
Just before we let you go, too, I got to ask you about their goaltending for the Minnesota Wild. Devan Dubnyk, since coming back from that lower body injury that kept him out for a couple of games, he's been good. He's seemed like he's okay, but his personality seems as though he's a little more feisty when he's out on the ice and participating in games. It just looks like he's being a little more aggressive, we'll say, in trying to make space for himself and send a message to opponents who tend to crowd his crease. And he seems a little frustrated and anxious about that occasionally.
Yeah, I think with some of the games, there's probably been frustration for how they've gone. A week ago they were in Colorado, and I think that was a game that slowly started to fall apart for the Wild, and you saw kind of Devan's emotions kind of rise to the surface and, like you said, get more aggressive out there. And that's probably indicative of the game. But, I think overall they're going to need kind of that even keel presence back there that he's been known for since he joined the Wild, and just kind of that steady anchor. Goaltending probably isn't going to be just enough for this team to get into the playoffs. They're going to need, that uptick in scoring, and to be strong defensively and have special teams be a positive factor. But if you don't have solid goaltending, it makes it a lot harder, and it might even be impossible, to try to make up this ground and stay in the race and grab a spot. So he's going to be one to watch the rest of the way for sure. And I think just being that steady night in, night out presence is going to be what's expected of him, and ultimately what this team needs to have a chance to hang around this race.
Thanks to Sarah McLellan, who covers the Wild for the Star Tribune. At Sarah_McLellan is how you follow her on Twitter. Good stuff today, Sarah. I appreciate it. Hopefully we do it again soon.
Sounds good. Take care.
Thanks, Sarah McLellan with the Minnesota Wild. Just did a quick count. Looks like 6 players have played all 44 games for the Minnesota Wild. 6 players. Just did the quick. That's a team that has been significantly impacted by injury, to say the least. And maybe that's it about Devan Dubnyk. And you're right. You want that just even keel, go in, play goal, stop the pucks, move along. Nothing more to see here. But it seems as though he's been letting his emotions bubble up a little bit occasionally. Sometimes it's in a victorious way, and other times it's in a frustrated because we're losing way. But that's not what the Minnesota Wild is. They need going down the stretch. Alex Stalock has chipped in and played reasonably well at different points too. So a little spelling off of Devan Dubnyk probably wouldn't hurt either. One more segment to go, take you up to the top of the hour. Well, we'll squeeze in as much as we can, but if we don't get it all in, that's a good thing that we have 2 more hours to do it tomorrow. Same thing Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Get you set for the 9 games on the schedule, including a couple that are early starts in the afternoon. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break.
There's special savings for Hockey Unfiltered listeners with our new ticket partner, Seat Giant. And Canadian fans can also purchase in Canadian dollars. Go to SeatGiant.ca, find the tickets you're looking for. Doesn't matter if it's NHL games, concerts, or any other event. You get a special discount with the promo code TODD. That's Todd with 2 D's. Just enter the code, get the discount, you save. That's simple. Save on your next ticket purchase with Hockey Unfiltered and Seat Giant. The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Search engine optimization is the key to success for your online business. It can be the key to success for any business. 1-844-SEO-LEAD is the number to call to get your business at the top of all searches. An official partner of Google, they have the tools necessary to make your business the one people notice first. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now you can nominate your dog or any dog you love as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day through Instagram. Every Saturday, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis will take your nominations for the Dog of the Day. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo with the dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate your dog. We choose a winner at the end of the show, and your dog will be recognized in the HU Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Saturday edition. Here again, Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at hockeyunfiltered.com. Streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app powered by Primetime Radio. Good lineup of games today on the Saturday NHL schedule. Looking forward to some afternoon matchups. Follows up a pretty good Friday. Not a lot of games on Friday night, but some good matchups as well. Calgary keeps their winning streak going. 6 straight now after defeating the Tampa Bay Lightning Thursday. They get a win over the Florida Panthers on Friday night. 6 straight. They're headed to Carolina on Sunday, and then they're headed off to 5 days of sun and fun and relaxation. Washington Capitals victorious over the Carolina Hurricanes in dramatic fashion. Oh, Carolina. Oh, see? Get emotional with that team. I can't get sucked in by Carolina anymore. Looked like they were on their way. 3 minutes left. Brett Connolly ties. Okay. And then with seconds ticking down, the final couple about to go off the clock and head to overtime. Oh, Nick Backstrom makes a great play. And Jay Beagle taps it in. 2 seconds left. Washington wins. They split the home and home. Alex Ovechkin also had an assist on that goal. That was one of 2 assists that Alex Ovechkin had on Friday night. And he also had a goal. His 28th goal of the season for the Washington Capitals. Caps have been rocketing up the standings. Alex Ovechkin has a 3-point night. I know everybody realizes how good a player Alex Ovechkin is, but are you sure you realize exactly how good a player he is? The goal he scored on Friday night against Cam Ward, one of his patented one-timers, it was in and out of the net before Cam Ward could even react. Still, at his advancing age of 32, a decade in the league, he still rips that one-timer in and out so fast, goaltenders can't even react to it. You know it's coming. We've seen it coming for 10 plus years, but nobody can stop it from the OV zone on the top of the circle. Blew one by Cam Ward for his 28th of the year. So that leads the team. That leads the league. You know, he's way ahead of everybody on the Cap squad. So with that goal, Ovi's now up to 586 for a career. Remember, it wasn't that long ago we were talking about Ovechkin hitting 500? He's now at 586 for a career. He hasn't played 1,000 games yet. Put that into perspective. Hasn't played 1,000 games, but he's approaching 600 goals per. Now, even with my remedial math, I can figure out that he's likely going to have 600 goals before the end of this season. He will get to 1,000 games just before the end of the regular season, provided he stays healthy and plays them all. So 0.6 goals per game, that is an incredible rate of production for a goal scorer. Ovi's under contract for 3 more years. Sure looks like he's going to get to 700 by then, don't you think? 3 more years, 33 and a third. I think Ovi can make that and get to 700 goals. Then the question becomes, how much more can he and will he play in the National Hockey League? 35. Only 7 players have managed 700 goals or better. Pretty good numerology that Alex Ovechkin is going to be number 8, isn't it? The grade 8 will be number 8 to hit 700 goals for a career. Definitely see it happening. 3 years, I think, is a reasonable time frame. Yeah, he's probably not going to get 40 every year like he's going to do this year. But I think in 3 more years, we'll be talking about the 8th 700-plus goal scorer in the National Hockey League history. 9 games on the Saturday schedule, some good matchups as well. Breaks are ending. Teams are getting back in action. The transition is taking place. Other teams will be beginning their breaks. New York Islanders and the New York Rangers. Oh, there's a bit of a rivalry. Both will be well rested. Will they both be a little rusty? I think is an interesting thing to watch as we see teams now coming back from the sabbaticals in mid-season. 5 days off. I mean, if teams and players get 2 days off in a row during the regular season, they'll at times come back and look like they've forgotten how to play for a while. How's it going to be 5 days off? And if you have 2 teams that are coming back from a break, as the league is trying to line up as best they can schedule-wise. Islanders have slid down in the standings prior to the vacation. They're now on the outside of the playoff picture looking in. Rangers are going to be minus Chris Kreider for an extended period of time. Kevin Hayes, it looks like, did take the pregame skate. Haven't seen officially if he's going to be in the lineup yet, but that's good news for the Rangers at least. Detroit and Pittsburgh is another afternoon contest. Again, back from a break. When will the admission come that the Red Wings are going to miss the playoffs for the second consecutive year? I think sooner might be better. Pittsburgh's got some work to do to get themselves back into a better playoff spot. The break might be what Pittsburgh needed. They played a lot of hockey. They had a tough schedule early on in the season. It eases up in the back half of the year. Maybe that's what they needed. No Matt Murray today. He is away for the team, at least for today, due to a personal matter. But a rested Pens team. They won their last 2 games before the hiatus. They're at home. They're a speed skill team. This could be bad news for Detroit. Boston and Montreal, arguably the best rivalry in the National Hockey League. 2 of the biggest surprises in the first half of the season as well going today. Bruins getting healthy. Young talent is blossoming. I'll still tout Charlie McAvoy for Rookie of the Year. I know Brock Besser is lighting it up, but Charlie McAvoy is playing more and more minutes and looking fantastic doing it. What kind of reality check could this be for the Montreal Canadiens? Because they've had a few days off. Montreal can go out on the ice and realize that the Bruins are the caliber of team they need to be to get into the postseason and perform. They're not there. I suspect we're going to be talking more about this game tomorrow, so I don't want to go too far on it. Talked about Winnipeg and Minnesota, the Central Division battle. Philly and New Jersey as well. Even with a 10-game losing streak, the Flyers haven't fallen completely off the map. Good for them. Jersey's had a few struggles. Maybe the rest helped them as well. Colorado and Dallas is another good Central Division battle. Avs have won 5 straight games. I said that the pressure on Minnesota was coming from behind as well because Colorado has been on a rip. Nathan McKinnon's been awesome. How about that defense? That's looking a lot better than it did a couple of seasons ago as well. And Dallas, please, 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 Ken Hitchcock. Can you play Radulov, Ben, and Sagan together again? Oh my goodness, they are a treat to watch. I mean, that is an intimidating presence for any opponent. That could be a real strategy. Put them out on the ice. Let them go crazy in the first period. You'll probably wind up with a lead. Late games are worth staying up for as well. The freeway face-off, if you want to call it that. Anaheim Ducks, Los Angeles Kings. Call it whatever you want. It's a terrific rivalry as well. Some good matchups on this Saturday. Also of note, LA Kings play-by-play great Bob Miller, who retired at the end of last season, will be honored with a statue unveiling before the game. This might be the game of the day. Game of the night because it's late. Edmonton's at Vegas. The Connor McDavid birthday party goes afterwards. Oh, that is going to be a time. McDavid turns 21 and finishes up the game against Vegas and then immediately gets a week off. The Edmonton players might need a week to recover. Arizona's in San Jose. That's the other late game. Sharks have been off and they've slipped a little bit. Flames' success is hurting the San Jose Sharks. They need to get back and going again. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Our thanks to Sarah McLellan for joining us, to Brian Burns for the latest on the Tampa Bay Lightning, to Derek Wills talking Calgary Flames, and to Bryan McNally, who covers the Washington Capitals for NHL.com. Been a great couple hours. Get set for a big day of hockey. Back again with you Sunday morning at 11 Eastern.
So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Nova Product Design is designed for manufacturing. Nova Product Design can get the job done with mechanical and industrial design. Nova Product Design is also fully functional for laser cutting, water jet cutting, plating, coatings, and more. Nova Product Design, innovative design and the latest technologies. Nova Product Design can design, build, and test any required types of prototypes and beta units. Visit novaproductdesign.com. We're looking for your Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day nominations every Saturday. Now you can send them through Instagram. Use the hashtag #HUDogoftheDay. Send us a photo of your dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate them as the HU Dog of the Day. Include your name, the dog's name, and any other cool details you want. We choose a winner and add them to the Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day.